All right, hello. Today we're going to be building a sequential circuit, going through all of the design tasks that we have learned recently to build them. Specifically, this problem here is a stoplight, all right? And what's going to happen is in this stoplight is that it's going to have a timing input that will switch from green to yellow to red and then back to green. But we also want to have an input for an emergency so that at no matter what stage it's at, whether it's at red, yellow, or green, it will always resort to red in this emergency case, all right? So let's go ahead and dive into the design task. So for the first step here, we have a state diagram, all right? We have our three colors, green, yellow, and red, all with their specific state codes here, all right? And what happens for these numbers here, this first digit here, where there's a 1, for example, this will be our emergency state. So that when there is a 1 in this state, we will always go to red. You could see it here, 1, 0, we're going to red. You can also see it in red, 1, 0, loop back. All right. And for this second digit here, this will represent the timing input. So working just as normal, it will go 0, 1 from green over to yellow, 0, 1 from yellow will go to red, and 0, 1 from red will loop all the way back to green. All right. And any input of 0, 0 will just loop back into itself. One more thing to notice, there is no input for 1, 1, even though we could have an input for 1, 1, but we will not be using that here as it is perfectly acceptable to be represented as a don't care situation, because we're not going to have a situation where we have an emergency and the timing diagram is going at the same time. So anyways, moving on to the next stage here, we have the next state table as well as this flip-flop transition table here. So obviously it asked us to do this circuit with JK flip-flops. So we're going to be referencing this JK transition table here for our J1, K1, J0, and K0 inputs. So here we have our three colors. We have green represented as 0, 0, Y as 0, 1, and red as 1, 0. All right. And we're going to take a look at what happens with each input for here, these inputs representing X emergency and X time. So we have 0, 0, green will just go back to green. 0, 1, green will go to yellow. 1, 0 will have the emergency go straight to red. All right. These are the states afterwards that represents these color destinations. All right. And then these J1, K1, J0, K0, these are our required flip-flop inputs to get to the next state. All right. So now once we have all these states here, we're going to find the Boolean equations that represent them. Here we have J1, K1, J0, and K0 being solved for. J1 is equal to Q0 ANDed with the timing input, and all that being ORed together with the emergency input. And you can take a look. They're all here. Very simple. Down here, ZG, ZY, and ZR are representative of our outputs. When we have a state of 0, 0, that's green, obviously. When we're in a state of 0, 1, that is yellow. And when we're in a state of 1, 0, we are in red. So let's go ahead and move on to the circuits. All right, so here is our completed circuit, all right? Specifically here in the center is where everything will be working. Here's where our flip-flops are. But let's go ahead and take a look at the other things here. We have our emergency input and our timer input. This is what we'll be using to step through our state functions. All right. These are the inputs for the flip-flops here. You could see J1 and K1 here are being solved for. These are solved from the Boolean equations, all right? And they both all get inputted into the flip-flop. We have a clock down here that cycles through each step that we have, all right? And over here is our outputs. We can see right now we're in the current state of green, all right? So let's go ahead, turn on the timer, and see if we can move the clock once to the falling edge and get yellow. There we go. And if we click it one more time, leaving the timer on, we should get red. And it's not happening at the falling of the clock, but it's happening at the start of the clock transition from when it's going from state 0 to state 1. Immediately it transfers. So excuse my mislabeling at that part. All right. Anyways, let's go ahead, cycle back to green right away and turn off the timer. I'll quickly show here that if you try to cycle through the clock, nothing will change. All right. But what happens if we go to the emergency? If I cycle this, we should go straight from green to red. And as you can see, that just happened. So cycle back to green. Let's go to yellow. If we turn on the emergency, we also go to red. So that is how this circuit works. Thank you for watching.